Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Let's Talk Yoga podcast. You already know I am very nerdy about pranayama, and we've done many episodes about pranayama on this podcast. And many of you have gone through or are going through my pranayama immersive study program. So I am very excited to bring you another pranayama episode today. And we go a lot deeper into slightly more, in some moments of this conversation, advanced pranayama territory. I have Prashant J on the show today. He is a yoga teacher who is based out of India. He has his yoga school in Rishikesh, and he's an international yoga teacher, but he's also a content creator. So some of you might have seen his YouTube channel. It's called Prashant J Yoga. And that's how I discovered him and his work. And I've been wanting to have him on the podcast. Today, he travels and teaches and continues to offer a lot of his yoga and research and classes online, as well as in studio or in shala in India as well. So he's on the podcast today, and we're getting very nerdy about all things pranayama. We start with what is prana and is pranayama. How do we understand pranayama? Is it a path to enlightenment? We talk about everyday pranayamas. We spend a lot of time on kumbhaka and understanding the significance for a yogi in retention. And we talk about the physical body versus the energetic body, and how pranayama can amplify what you bring into it. So you come into the practice restless and angry, it's going to amplify that. We go through a whole range. And for me, it's always a privilege to be able to sit with teachers like this who spend their entire lifetime, quite literally, exploring the yoga and then making it accessible to us. So I am deeply grateful that Prashant is on the show today. We have linked to his yoga school and his YouTube channel and all his other work on our show notes at letstalk.yoga. I hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, remember these conversations, this podcast, it's a free resource. So the way you can support us is by subscribing to the podcast. And know that you can watch the video episode of all our podcasts on our YouTube channel. The channel is called Aham Yoga, and we have a podcast playlist there. And you can watch me and the guests interact in real time and have these conversations live. Enjoy this conversation with Prashant. I'll see you on the other side. Hello, Prashant. Welcome to the Let's Talk Yoga podcast.
Namaste. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being here. I have been looking forward to having this conversation with you. You are very familiar in my world, your voice, your face, because your YouTube videos keep playing. So I'm so excited that you are here. To kick things off, can we start with just an overview of, we're going to be diving into pranayama, but the link between yoga and pranayama. How does the entire practice and wisdom body that pranayama is, how does that fit into modern day yoga?
So a few questions into one single question there. So first, I will start with the link of pranayama into yoga, right? So as we all know, this yogic word, yoga has a three meaning, basically. The word yoga has a three meaning, which came directly from the Sanskrit word yuj. So yuj has three meanings. So yuj samadho, yuj sanyamane, yuj yoga. So yuj samadho is basically what Maharishi Patanjali is explaining. The entire Patanjali Yoga Sutra is based on yuj samadho, yoga samadhi. The second is yuj sanyamane, which is into Bhagavad Gita. Sanyam, indriya, senses sanyam, control, and dive into different direction. And another is usually yogi, which is Vedic explanation. So, but to go samadhi, you should have certain stages of mind to prepare the mind for that spatial, state. So starting from the from the gross, which is physical, and leads to mental. So the link which is there, which is connecting both of them, that is the pranic practices. So that's how the pranayam, enters into this yogic system, because it's kind of a bridge which connects, which brings you from this world to the world where you are trying to lead you to the spiritual world. So that's how the basic and easy understanding about the pranayam, how it comes deeper later than how it works, why it is there, what is the reason that it should be this way. That's the different. But that's how right now that it's bridge which connects from gross to subtle. So it works.
So because you're saying gross to subtle, right? The sukshma sharira, right? So how would you define prana and what is pranayama?
See, basically, prana is the force, the energy, which is helping the consciousness to experience different dimensions. So it is an energy which is helping this consciousness to experience, basically, this world and other world. So that's the energy. That's the life force, which everywhere in the books you will find. That to experience, the consciousness cannot experience without the pranic body. So pranic body is this medium to give you this experience. And that's how you are, this all senses are experiencing different objects. And you are having this smriti, you are having this samskaras, and then you carry the same thing with the next and next birth. And now the pranayama word comes because sometimes this experience comes with ignorance. So to remove this ignorance and to experience the real self, the reality, that's the process of pranayama. Means you will still experience, but now without ignorance. So no dark side, just the true form. So that's how the pranayama work. So if you do this pranic practices, it can be many ways. It just helps you to remove the ignorance. That's the reason the sutra is Tataha Kshiyate Prakasha Varanam. Means the process which cleans the the barriers, which removes the barrier, which removes the shadow. So you have a clear vision that what is the reality, how to experience the real self. So pranayama helps into it. It prepares also, and it helps you also to remove the ignorance and break the barriers so that your consciousness can explore experience.
Speaking of consciousness and your real self, can someone who is deeply invested in pranayama practice and has the right teacher and the support system and is diligent, can pranayama alone help one move towards higher states of consciousness, perhaps even enlightenment, or get into much deeper practices?
See, getting to much deeper practices, yes, but to enlightenment, no.
Okay.
Because it has a two side. It's an energy which only can take you further with speed. It's like some transport. Just you are walking with your foot, but now you had a bike or you have a car. So pranayama is like this. It's just a vehicle which can take you further, faster. But you have to get down to your destination. Car cannot enter to inside the house. Fair. So similarly, pranayama can take you faster and it can give you certain experiences. Maybe barriers will be less because if you would walk by foot, maybe you would have more challenges. But this time, because you are in a car, comfort is there. So you're not distracted much actually, But still, it alone cannot give you this samadhi experience, enlightenment experience. But it can give you the idea. It can, distract you from. It can bring you from, all the distractions and give you this path. This alone it can do, and that's what actually it was meant for. Just for that, to give you the direction, like but not for enlightenment.
Wonderful. I'm glad you clarified that because I've often said that, enlightenment is a far goal. Work on your wellness and health first through these practices. And that's a different conversation. So I'm glad you clarify. Like the car versus walking example, it is simple, but it is effective. So What about, and this is a question I get often too, so I'm going to ask you, what about the Kundalini Shakti? Because it comes up sometimes in conversations, especially because I live here. What is the relationship between the Kundalini Shakti and the practice of pranayama?
See, Kundalini Shakti itself is a stored pranic energy, stored, which is not awakened yet, but which is still flowing. But this is the stored energy which is which was from the beginning of birth, a person birth, and it is stored at the base of the your existence, which is Mooladhara, which everyone knows about it. But it's the same pranic energy which needs to be awakened for the higher purpose. Okay, so the relation is that it is the same energy, it is just not awakened yet. But it's not some different practice, Kundalini, which is today's time. If you see that today's time, especially in the West and now in the East also, it's the same, that it is given in a different form, which is happening today's time. But it's the same pure pranic practice, which is more deeper, but to experience more spiritual, faster spiritual, to lead you to spiritual dimension. And you should not make it very, kind of, today's time people plays with the words that Kundalini Shakti awaken means I'm opening the chakras. I'm
doing third eye is open.
Flow, yeah. Pranic flow is, see, the Kundalini Shakti and pranayama relation is that when the pranic flow is entering to Sushumna center, which is the three areas of pranic energy where it flows. So when it enters through Sushumna, this process called the Shakti awakening, the process when it enters, and it has a different, very and many kind of variations, many kind of preparations that you need to go through. You cannot just simply awaken it and then experience certain, spiritual dimension you can enter into it. But it's the same force, which is not awakened yet. Awaken means which is not experienced yet. So that was a little relation.
Wonderful. I'm glad you clarified it. I mean, because a lot of my all of my yoga education had happened in India. I remember my teachers used to be very strict about even talking about the Kundalini, because it was not something to, for lack of a better way of saying this, to mess with. And it's very powerful, and it's not for the everyday average yoga practitioner.
Actually, Kundalini, this word, it was not a separate yoga. It was a part of pranic practices, but because it gives you certain, feeling, instant feeling. So it later was given the name separately, Kundalini Yoga. But normally it is the same intense pranic practice, which is when you are trying to bring the force, pranic force, the energy force into Sushumna. And when you are trying to work with it, that is called the process. Entire process is called Kundalini process. So, but it was now today's time. It is it is called in a different name, complete different yoga system, which is, I would say that it should not be like that.
No, I am in complete agreement with you on all of it, and I know you are being very gentle as you say it, but I agree with you that it is not something you just pick and try to shortcut into. Yes. So what would be the goal, or what should be the goal for a modern day practitioner of pranayama?
See, if you say modern practitioners, there are two types of modern practitioners today's time. One who is completely, ignorant and maybe having certain challenges in life. Pranayama can help there also. But there's the other hand, there are practitioners who really wants to clear their previous samskaras and really wants to experience the higher self. So there are two types of, and not only in modern time, in ancient time also there were two types of mind. Those who really want to experience and those who just wants to get desire. So both practitioner pranayama works for both. It gives you the expected kind of desire. It gives you this things, and it also helps you for the higher realization. So goal is different, depends on what you are looking for. But of course, if you ask what is the main goal of pranayam, then I would answer that there's only one goal, that dharana sucha yogyata manasa. Means pranayam gives the ability for your mind for the further practice, which is withdrawing the senses, which is pratyahara, which allows your mind to come and to see the inner
Antar
self.
yoga.
Yes, antar yoga. Yes. So that was the work of pranayam. But today's time, because people are suffering from health, so because it is good for mental well-being, and because it's connected with breathing exercise, so it is for physical benefit also. So two types. So those who are suffering from some kind of challenges, this is the physical and mental health for them. But those who not any challenge, just mumukshu, jigyasu, for them it's a different purpose. Then for them is more mental, how to bring all the sense, how to do pratyahara, that's it. So pranayam works for these two, side, different way.
So if I understand correctly, and please feel free to correct me, so you're saying pranayama helps to prepare for pratyahara and then slowly moving into deeper limbs of yoga, the angas of yoga, right? So, and this is something that I've noticed people are a little confused with. So I will ask you for clarity. Is pranayama and meditation the same thing?
See, pranayama and meditation, one way it's the same. There's a one thing which is common, both of them. Cannot be same because one is with effort and one is without effort. Because meditation is which happens. Prana cannot happen. Prana, you have to try. Efforts are there. Meditation, there's no effort. But today's time, because when we say I'm doing meditation, this phrase itself is not correct to say that I'm doing meditation. You can do concentration maybe. You can do maybe certain inner cleansing for meditation. So meditation is a state which happens. Pranayam is not a state. Pranayam, you need to regulate. You need to do something with it. So so this way it cannot be the same. One is complete effortless. One is you're doing something in it. So this is one. But what is common is that for both practice, you need a certain state of mind. For example, when we say meditation gives you quiet mind. Actually, meditation will not give you this. Concentration gives you this. Basically. Meditation need this quiet mind for samadhi experience. Meditation is the first step for samadhi, actually. And to reach meditation, you need to have a certain state, right? That silent shunya state. And same thing happens with the pranayama.
Because, the shunya state.
Yeah, shunya state. Because normally what we think that when we do pranayama, we become quiet. When we do pranayama, we experience very, calm mind. And people just begin the breathing practices if they want to do some pranayama practice. But according to Upanishad, there are many Upanishads, and there are many actually Mahabharata also explain about pranayama. So many actually yogic Upanishads are there, many granthas or Puranas are there which talks about the pranayama. So it says that pranayama should not start when the mind is not quiet.
Yes.
Means you should not do pranayama when the mind is not quiet. Pranayama is not to make the mind quiet. You should first make yourself quiet and then
come
do
to pranayama.
Why? Yeah. And why? So what happens when I'm doing without quiet mind? It gives you more kind of sickness, especially physically. Vat pravriti. Vat, the vayu, increases when the person practices pranayama without keeping their mind quiet. So there's a sutra that Vata dhikyam bhavatyeva. There's a sutra from Mahabharata, Bhishma Parva, saying that when the person does pranayama without keeping themselves quiet, it increases the vata in their body. So means joints problem will start. Mind will be more distracted because it's an energy which will energize those objects which will be front of this energy. So if you have already fickle mind, if you have already tensed mind, so if you are doing pranayama at that time, it will develop that same.
Yes.
So that's why it is very strictly, Upanishad says that you should first come to the shunya state before you do pranayama. So before pranayama, that's why asanas were there, because asana helps you at least to bring into center. That's why all these steps, every yoga practices if you see the steps, asana comes before
Yes.
pranayama. There's no after, which often people ask, can I do? Because they don't understand what they're asking question. Can you do physical form of pranayama, which is breathing, and physical form of asana, which is physical movement? Then you can do actually. Then asana can come later. It does no. But when you are asking the real, what's the purpose, real purpose of these two practices, then the sequence should be asana first, which gives you peace, which gives you, the quiet mind, and then pranayama for the quiet, after quieting the mind. So that's how it should.
No, that's beautifully explained, the shunya state. You're saying when you're in that quiet, steady state, come and go deeper through the tools, the techniques of pranayama. So, and essentially, if you're not in that state, go prepare yourself to be in that state more often, mostly through asanas. Yes. So, essentially, your people shouldn't come to pranayama to become quieter, to calm down, because that's how it's marketed nowadays, isn't it? It is for stress relief, it is for calm mind. And I always say what you will notice is how restless you mostly are. So I'm glad you clarified that. So speaking of that quiet state, right? How much pranayama does the average person need? I'm not talking about yogis or renunciates, but just the average person who comes into a class. How many or how much pranayama do they really need?
See, this question again is not correct to ask how much I should do pranayama, because first let's understand two different pranayama. When we talk about the pranayama, we need to separate the breathing work with pranic. So breathing exercise, you can say that breath is a vehicle for your prana to travel. So breath is just a simple vehicle, which is, carrying the pranic for a certain direction through the different techniques. So if you ask how much one should do the breathing exercise, is a different question. If you ask how much one should do pranayama practice, it's a different question.
Okay.
So if you talk about the breathing exercise, how much you should do, it depends how much your physical body allows and what is the purpose. For example, if someone having kind of digestive related physical issues, so certain pranayam you cannot do, certain breathing exercise you cannot do, such as kapalbhati and other, bhastrika, intense breathing work. But same time you can do Nadi Shodhana, Anulom Vilom. So do that only, and certain series you can do, And if someone is suffering from some mental sickness, then certain pranayam, that depends on the teacher, like with whom you are practicing. Right now, from here, this answer cannot be, fulfill the expectations of everyone's minds, because this answer will not be completely how much someone should do this breathing exercise, because it depends.
Yes.
Your teacher only knows that how much you should do. And same thing happens with pranayama. Your teacher only knows how much you should do, because this is not an alone practice that just you can see the videos and you can, for example, sometimes when we say in videos, in some YouTube, that 3 pranayama you should do every morning, it is just because at least do this. If you cannot
bare minimum.
At least this is you should do, because today we know that people are suffering from digestive issues. At least regularly do kapalbhati, breathing exercise, which can train your digestive system. Second thing, we know that everyone suffering from mental, issues. At least Brahmari you should do. So these are the certain pranayam which we put in the videos. Okay, if you're not doing anything, this is. But if you are doing for deeper experience, then only teacher can guide you how much you need and which one you need. Maybe he will tell you need only Nadi Shodhana, which when I was practicing, we were doing Nadi Shodhana for 6 months, only Nadi Shodhana, because Nadi Shodhana has to perform with certain, level. And Gurukulam, it was like this for us, that first 3 to 4 months, only Nadi Shodhana, purify the Nadis, then only you are allowed to do certain practices later. So that was because Guru was there. Someone was there to, guide. So alone, breathing exercise, so maybe ask the teacher who is near you, and he only or she only can tell you that for you, only Nadi, only maybe Bhastrika, and that much, maybe 10 round, maybe 15 round, this breathing exercise for you. So this is how it should be.
Wonderful. I'm smiling because you said 2 things there that I really resonate with. One is it depends, right? You can't just say this will work for everybody. Now everybody do this. And that you need the teacher, you need the guru, you need the guide. This is not a solo by yourself practice. You can do some things on your own, but you need that guidance throughout. And I think that is very important, because sometimes I see up here that people try to do it themselves, and then they think more quantity is better, more techniques is better.
Today is everywhere.
Yeah. And a lot of my yoga education, it was keep it simple. Do a few and do them deeply and do them regularly. So I'm glad you brought that up. Can I ask you a little bit about, you said this in the previous response about the history of pranayama. You said it's been mentioned in the Upanishads, it's come in different texts. So can you give us a very simple overview of just the history of pranayama?
History is the beginning of this universe. The simplest history is that, as I said, the consciousness need some medium to experience different dimension. So how this medium works the same way. This medium is called prana. So actually, the history is from the beginning of the universe. It's the energy which is creating and manifesting into different form. So from the beginning of the life, this pranayam is there. Prana is there from the beginning of life. Pranayam came later when we became restricted with our life. To again come back to the source, so techniques came. Okay, how to again channelize this prana. That's why pranayam had three practices, three levels. First is how to purify. The purification part comes first. When someone does pranayam practice, it has to go with this level. First, purification part. Second, channelization part. And the third one is expansion part, which is the ultimate goal. The pranic ayam means expansion. So three things. But it was from the beginning of the universe. Because this energy only creating everything.
Yes.
Whatever is happening around you, it is all happening because of the force which is always moving around. It's not only in your body, it's everywhere. So from the beginning, history is from the beginning. And now, if you ask that, okay, where it's mentioned, everywhere it's mentioned. Recently in India, there's the Rama statues was placed into temple. Yes, did you see have you heard the word called prana pratishtha? See, from the Vedic time, it's called also prana. Pratishtha means when you are, placing this something. So prana pratishtha means before this statue was not having prana. Means not having prana. Sometimes in Vedic scriptures, it is linked with soul also. Prana not alone is energy. It is also linked with soul, because the soul, as I said, consciousness need something to experience, and that's medium you need. So that's why prana and soul, some text says same.
Okay.
So when we say prana pratishtha means you are now the divine energy has entered into this statue. It means the soul is there. Now this statue can also feel your vibration and can also gives you his own vibration. So this all the Vedic scriptures talks about prana long time back, since the creation. And now the techniques today's time, when we say breathing, before ancient time it was different. That's why in prana pratishtha they were not doing Nadi Shodhana there by sitting in front of the statue. They were not doing Kapalabhati, all the priests. There were the different ways to do pranayam. That's why I say pranayam is not alone can be expanded by breathing exercise. Breathing is just the easiest tool, which today's time we are following. Pranayam, expansion of prana can happen in various ways. It can happen also, the last is meditation. In meditation, you do pranayam a lot, because expansion happens when you meditate. More the mind is deeper, more you expand the prana. More the mind is quiet, more you expand the prana. Less the mind is quiet, more you are in the vrittis, because breath is also vritti. Breath is also vritti. Until you are focusing in Nadi Shodhana, when you're focusing, inhale, this is also vritti is going on. You're watching the breath. Breath is also a vritti. Breath is a vritti of prana, you can say. It's a vritti of prana. If someone asks what is the difference between breath and prana, so you can say the breath is a vritti of prana. So remove this vritti, just prana is there. So before, in ancient time, pranayam was with Vedic chanting, vibrations, sound. That's why this Nad Brahma, Nad
Yes.
Anusandhan, which is Swatmaram text, you can see Nada Anusandhan, one of the limb of Hatha Yoga. So Vedic chanting, they were doing Prana Pratishtha. They were also doing some mudras, Prana Pratishtha there. And today's time, we are not doing because we don't know Vedic chanting. What should be the tool which is common for everyone? Because Vedic chanting, you should read Vedas. Vedic chanting, you should know Sanskrit for certain pronunciation. But not everyone can do. So what to create? That's how it became easier. Okay, let's do breathing. Let's connect with the breath, because breath can also do this pranic expansion. So today's time we are more focused on breath, but ancient time it was not.
Yes.
Om Pranayama. In Vedic scripture, if you see, and even Hatha Yoga scriptures, if you see the advanced practice of pranayama, they link mantra. Omkar pranayama. Okay, chant. When you do Nadi Shodhana, chant Om, Om, Om. Many texts talks about it. Or do certain mantras with pranayama practice, because that's how the pranic expansion, can be felt, and you can expand it. So that's the history from the beginning, and how it was before not a breathing, it was before more vibration. So music, more chantings. Today's
Using
time
sound.
it's more easy, which is breath.
Wonderful. That's it's really fascinating to see how far back all of this has existed. So speaking of it being really old, if I have to narrow it down to breathing techniques, what would be the oldest breathing technique? Because and it may not be right, I've heard that Nadi Shodhana is the oldest breathing practice, pranayama practice, if I may call it that. It is the king of all pranayamas. Is that true?
For today's time, yes, it is true. Okay. For today's time, it is from the Treta Yuga, Rama time, when the Tantra was developed, because Tantra developed at that time a lot, because one of the teacher of Tantra was Ravana himself, the biggest Tantra practitioner. So he created certain practices of pranayama, certain practices of mudras, because he was into this kind of things. So if you say Nadi Shodhana, today's time, yes, you can say that it's the strongest preparation. But before, in the past, pranayama simply was just to connect the mind with the breath flow and make your mind calm. That's a pranayama. So today's time, this is called Samavega pranayama. Ancient time, it was Samavega. Veg means the speed of the breath. Sam, you just balance it. This is pranayama. Right now, you don't know how much length the breath has when you inhale, how much longer you are exhaling. You don't know. So to understand, first to balance, because when they balance, so the sun and moon also start coming, into certain position. They become balanced. And when they are balanced, so now the Sushumna can be, the door of Sushumna can be open. You have, there are possibilities. So that was the ancient practice of pranayama. Later, when the body started becoming toxic in mind as well, then Nadi Shodhana came, because you need to clean it.
Yes.
How to clean this channel? Because of channels are impure, toxic. That's why you have certain barriers mentally. All the vrittis are coming again and again. This fluctuation of mind. This mind is not becoming stable. Physical problems are coming because of because prana is not traveling freely. Then Nadi Shodhana came. So today's time, Nadi Shodhana is a top. You can say like this. Without this, you shouldn't start any kind of practice. And that's why I told you before that when we were doing, it was said in scripture that 80 kumbhaka, once the person does 80 kumbhaka constant, this 80 kumbhaka for 3 months, when you do, then only you can clean all the 72,000 energy channels, which is mentioned in yogic scripture that there are 72,000. Some scripture there are 350,000, different. But 72,000 is a common, which is experienced by most of the yogis, yogic practitioners. So they say that 80 kumbhaka into 90 days. So 80 into 90 is 7,200 basically. So 72,000 energy channels you can clean only when you do 7,200 kumbhakas. Like that, like this you have to. So today's time, it is important that Nadi Shodhana comes first, and then later other pranayama and whatever you do. But before it was not like that.
80 kumbhakas is a lot.
Yeah, 80 kumbhaka means that's why the Nadi Shodhan more 4 times a day.
Yes,
It
because
should be.
different times of
Yeah,
the day.
yeah.
Yes,
20
and
each time.
20 each time?
Yeah, so morning there
Okay,
are four times
correct.
actually best for pranayama practice. Early morning, which is
Mm-hmm.
Brahmurta time.
Mm-hmm.
Afternoon when the sun is on the top, I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about in India,
Mm-hmm.
Indian time zone. So
Mm-hmm.
sun is on the top. That is second time. Third time is more the afternoon time and sunset. Just
Mm-hmm.
1 hour gap, 1 hour before sunset. And the last is midnight. These are the 4 times. Each time 20 you do. Means Nadi Shodhan when you do like a 10 cycle. No? Each cycle you
Yes.
do twice. So like this, you have to do constant 90 days. Now, then only nadis are clean.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ratios, and that it's a different, deep
Yes.
science behind
Yes.
it, more
Mm-hmm.
deeper.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because sometimes I feel like, especially in modern yoga, right, it gets simplified and people don't know enough. So they just sometimes do it incorrectly, or they change what it's supposed to be. So speaking of kumbhak, can we talk about kumbhak a little more? Because, the little pranayama that I have understanding of, it's usually kumbhak is what the yogis were after, and kumbhak took them deeper into their practice. So what is the significance? My question is, what is the significance of the kumbhak stage of Nadi Shodhana? And there are 2 kumbhaks, right? So I will ask you about some of those things a little later, but what is the significance of kumbhak?
The goal of pranayam is itself is a kumbhak.
Mm-hmm.
And that is mostly external kumbhak.
So Bahir
Mostly
kumbhak.
Bahir kumbhak is in ultimate goal, which is in sutras I can explain that prachhardan vidharna bhyam va pranasya. Prachhardan is a Sanskrit word which means rechak. Exhale and stop. Means once you completely exhale, and if you are able to stop here, then there's no vrittis in the mind. Inhale, vrittis will be there because breath carries the vrittis. Exhale, vritti will be less. So that was the main goal of pranayam, to reach that state when there's no vritti less. So kumbhaka connection is there when you are out of vritti, when the mind is completely in the shunya, completely silence. There's no vritti, niruddha state, which is Maharishi Patanjali first 2 sutras saying that chitta vritti nirodh. This vritti nirodh state can be developed by kumbhaka practice. So kumbhaka was for that. Because chale vata, chale chittam, nishchalam nischale bhave, very popular sutra out of Hatha Yoga, means until the breath is moving, chitta will move also. Means you will have different thoughts, you will have different emotions, because breath is deeply connected. But nishchalam nischale bhave. But once you stop this breath flow, so mind also becomes nishchal, means now it will not move. It becomes stable. So kumbhaka was there in Nadi Shodhan. So at least again and again, you are becoming quiet, because that is the first thing in Nadi Shodhan, especially you ask in Nadi Shodhan, right? So that is first, means the mind can be quiet. So if you keep doing this, so it will become a habit for mind. Okay,
quiet
little become quiet. So that habit will be developed later in bandhas when you do more deeper kumbhakas. But now preparation going on, because your mind needs lots of preparation, lots of environment, certain environment. So this kumbhaka in Nadi Shodhana, just to create the environment, that is first. Second, why kumbhaka is in Nadi Shodhan? Second is because when you do kumbhaka, especially antar kumbhak is more in initial state. Later you do bahir kumbhak also. But in the beginning, antar kumbhak, why? Because in the body, because when you do kumbhaka, there is a certain place where you hold the kumbhaka. Kumbhaka should be held in Nadi Shodhan, especially that is below the navel, that area, which is called kand in Sanskrit, from where all the energy channels are originated. So 4 fingers below the navel. So this area is more where you hold the breath when you do Nadi Shodhan pranayama. In many videos I have explained also.
I've seen that, yes.
This is the place that where you should focus on. Why this is a place? Because when you hold the breath after movement, like if you inhale and then you're holding the breath there, there's an area, this is the area of Agni element, fire element in your body, which is in Ayurveda Jataragni. In yogic philosophy, it's called Vaishvanar Agni, which is one of the name of Shiva. Vaishvanar is the name of Shiva. So 2 names, depends where you are using this word.
Okay.
So this Agni, when breath is entering, it means the chitta is entering. All the vrittis, this breath will carry all the vrittis to the navel center. Now it will burn there. When you hold, it will be burned. So next time when you exhale, there will not be any vritti. That was the purpose of Nadi Shodhana. Means inhalation means you carry the vrittis of previous samskaras. You carrying this, reaching there, stopping there, let it burn with holding. So it will burn. So next when you exhale, exhale means you're coming birth. If you anyhow with prarabdha karma, you have to take certain birth. So it will be vritti less. Means you will be more pure. So exhalation is this. So now this side also inhale again carries the vritti of previous samskaras. Even this life samskaras, so many vrittis. You carry the vritti with inhalation. Holding, you're burning is exhalation, you're making yourself free, purifying yourself. That was the purpose of Nadi Shodhana. And that was the, Antar Kumbhak purpose. That is second, why you should do Antar Kumbhak. The third is also, which is also important, every time when you do Kumbhaka, your energy channel is vibrating. It's like, waking up. It's like you slept at night and in morning someone came and woke you with shaking your body. Okay, wake up. Same thing happens with Nadis. Nadis are more shithil in Sanskrit. What we say shithil means effort, like now, like this. My hand is this. When you do Kumbhaka, it becomes like this, active. So every time when you do Kumbhaka, it's like a pipe, like a tube which is shrink. And when the force, like a plastic tube which is shrink, and when you put this intense flow of water, become open.
Yes.
Same thing happened with the nadis. When you do Kumbhaka in Nadi Shodhana, becomes active, and now the prana travels freely and open all the blockages. That's the three things in Nadi Shodhana. Because of that, you do Kumbhaka there.
Oh, fascinating and beautifully explained. Thank you for that. So, would it be fair to say that Antar Kumbhak is relatively more beginner friendly, for lack of a better word here, but Bahir Kumbhak is more an advanced
practice? That's true.
And is Bahir Kumbhak the same as Kevala Kumbhaka, spontaneous suspension or spontaneous retention?
So first, I will come into first question, which is Antar Kumbhak, Bahir Kumbhak. Antar Kumbhak is more for beginners, of course. Or there are three types of practitioner. Adham Koti Sadhak, which is very, who doesn't know, Kshipta state, who has a Vikshipta state of mind. That is first sadhaka. Another sadhaka, Madhyam Koti, which is Ekagra. Then Niruddha Koti. This is Niruddha Koti, which is more focused person, which is called Uttam Sadhak. Madhyam, Adham, and Uttam. Adham, Madhyam, and Uttam. They are three practitioners. So for beginner, of course, Antar Kumbhak. First, beginner need to start first with the regulation of breath. No Kumbhak even there. Madhyam, when you come into intermediate practitioner, when the mind will become calm, then Kumbhaka. Kumbhak should not be with a person for those who are depressed or those who have too much. For them, Kumbhaka will not work. That's why for beginner, we need to become very, we need to be very cautious while teaching someone pranayama, that Kumbhaka only when your mind is quiet, then only. Otherwise, you are Adham Koti Sadhak, you go first certain cleansing practices through some breathing exercise, then you come to this. Now Antar Kumbhak, why? Because Antar Kumbhak first cleans not only the vrittis, but samskaras also. It eradicates all the previous samskaras which you are carrying collectively from the previous birth, and also collecting sanchita karma from this birth. So it burns, Kumbhaka burns this. So that happened. That's why it's called pranayam. Through pranayam, you clean the sin. Pranayami patakam. The sutra is pranayam and pataka means you through pranayam with Antar Kumbhak you clean all the sin which you have done previously, knowingly and unknowingly. You can clean with Antar Kumbhak. Bahir Kumbhak is for advanced practitioner because Bahir Kumbhak develop Vairagya state. It develop Vairagya. Bahir Kumbhak. Antar Kumbhak, still you are in this life. It is just to burn the previous. Yes. Bahir Kumbhak to develop the Vairagya and to go spiritually faster. So that's the first question. The second you ask that is it same, like Bahir Kumbhak is the same with this spontaneous breath, which is Keval Kumbhak. So there are four types of Kumbhak you need to say here. The first is, which is four types of, you can say pranayama also. First is Bahya Bhantarastam Vritti Deshakala Sankhya. This is sutra, very long sutra. Bahya Vritti, pranayama when you just simply exhaling. When you do simple inhaling, which is antarvritti pranayama, and stambha vritti. When we say kumbhaka in Sanskrit, it's called stambha vritti pranayama. It's also pranayama, but stambha vritti pranayama. Stambha means pillar.
Yes.
Means when you are stable. That's why 2. Holding in, holding out. But when you do holding out with bahir kumbhak, still there's an effort. There's an effort which you are using. Means you are exhaling, then you are holding, right? That's happening. When we say bahir, which is spontaneous breath retention, the perfect sutra is that bahya bhyantar visayakshepi chaturtha. Means this is the 4th type of practice of pranayama, which is visayakshepi. Means there's no visay. There's no certain, subject for this. Right now, when you are holding the breath, there was something that you are holding, which is breath. Breath is you are holding. Subject is there. But here, Visayakshepi, there's no subject now.
No subject.
Because for prana, breath is a subject. So now there's no subject right now. Before you exhale, so breath was there. You exhale, then you did. But here, the sutra is saying that bahya abhyantar, but visayakshepi. There's no vishay there. So it's like spontaneous, it's happening. And that happens with meditation state, deep meditative state only. That's why I told before that pranayama, when it goes to deep meditation state, then only, that's why many yogis used to stay longer period of time. Not because you cannot stay with longer period of time with regular breath flow. The one who is regularly inhaling and exhaling cannot stay long life. Only with kumbhaka you can stay. That's why if you see many in Kumbh Mela in India, especially Haridwar and Allahabad, certain places, many yogis, they come and they go under the earth and they stay there for 7 days. They show the different powers. And you have heard also many scriptures say that this yogi is living from 1,000 years. How they are living? Because of spontaneous breath retention, which is kevala kumbhaka. Means breath is not now, no need of breath for pranic expansion. We need a breath for pranic expansion. Yogis don't need breath for pranic expansion. Correct. For example, right now we need to run this body, we need food. We need a certain amount of food. If I ask you to stop food, we cannot live after a few days. The body will start demolishing automatically. You will start feeling disturbance in your system. But for yogi, it doesn't work, because for us, we need a gross form of prana, which is a food, certain way, because our body is meant for that only, because we are not capable right now to accept direct flow of prana. Direct flow for our body, it doesn't work. Otherwise, if you see all the food which we eat, how the prana enters in this food? Through sun. Correct. It means if we directly connect with the sun, which is a source of prana, sun is a source of prana, why we are not able to survive? It means we have so many barriers. We need to first. It's like a layers. You have so many layers. Because of these layers, you are sustaining in this planet. So this layer is fed by all the food which you are eating. These all yogis, they clean all the layers. So they are directly connected. They are the same source. That's why higher practice of pranayama, food becomes less. That's why you will see so many examples. First, in the beginning of pranayama, you eat a lot because your body demands. But when you go deeper, pranayama practitioner becomes skinny automatically. Only tummy can expand. This practitioner, tummy expand because all the storage is into tummy. Now, sun source. Tummy, that's why the pranayama practitioner, if you see many pranayama practitioners, tummy will be quite, bigger. Body is skinny. Body is not very good, attractive body. Tummy is bigger because the source, now the sun is into solar center. Now directly connected, because this is the area of sun, solar. Now they're directly connected. So this part expands. Other body becoming, slowly, they're shrinking. So that happens into that state when you reach. So that's Bahikumbhak. Means you directly connected.
Beautifully explained. So speaking of body and is there a difference now today? So because back in the day, yoga, pranayama, all of it was largely created and practiced on a man's body physically, right? And only now in modern day, there are so many women practitioners also doing all these practices. is there something that has to be kept in mind? Specifically, if we are speaking kumbhaka, or generally you can expand that into pranayama also if you would like, when a woman's body is practicing versus a man's body.
See, before,
especially kumbhak is what I was thinking.
Yeah, before yogic practices, kumbhaka practices were for both men and women. But because for women, guru was man, her man. That was not very much, noticed in society. Today's time, you see the husbands are not itself is, into this path. So who will teach women? So they have to find some other places. Fair. Before it was not like this. Before women, the guru of women was only her man. So he was a spiritual. He used to teach. Okay, this is the process. So you were not going out to find some other guru, But today's time is different. So people are going out. This is the first thing. Second thing about kumbhaka, yes, for both practitioner, kumbhaka will remain same because both are physically, they are different. But when you talk about the deeper sukshma body, it's the same. Pranic body everywhere is the same. For both, it will be the same. But physically, certain techniques can be different. For example, then you talk about, okay, menstruation, maybe don't do. Because men, they don't have this purification process. They can do all the time, 24 hours. They can do 365 days, they can do. But women cannot do. So techniques can change. But if you talk about the practices will not change. It will be the same because you also have it's a pranic body practice. It's not a physical body practice. So pranic body, we all are same. If it is physical body, which is breath, some techniques, then yes. For example, asana, then yes. But pranic body, meditation, mental body, it's the same. That's why meditation for everyone is the same. But because today's time, because you are facing so many challenges, so meditation techniques are changing. Not only for women, but men also. Men also, they are doing different techniques of meditation, because of certain challenges they are facing today's time. Also they are changing. Not every man do the same meditation, right? They're also changing. Same thing happens with women.
Understood.
But root practice will remain same for everyone because sukshma sharir is the same. So the body is same.
I like how you said the physical body and the pranic body, right? That the physical body might be going through things, but the pranic body is still the same. So would it be fair for me to say, so if you're in your menstrual phase, then you would not do kumbhak. You would do the inhale, exhale, you'll do all those practices, but would you skip kumbhak, like big, deep kumbhaks at that point?
Yeah, that time, yes. That time,
like that's what
Yeah, not only for women, any kind of, as I said, this is a physical purification you are going. If you are going through emotional purification, too much emotions are that time also. Any purification which is physical body, mental body, it's going on, kumbhaka will be stopped at that time.
Understood.
Should not.
Understood. There is so much I can talk to you about, but I want to be mindful of your time. This has been wonderful. There is so much that you have created on your YouTube channel, through your yoga school. I will link to all of it in the show notes. But can you tell the listeners once where they can directly connect with you, learn from you, have more access to all of this and more?
Yeah, so we have created a platform, which is, we are basically based in Rishikesh. Right now, I'm not in Rishikesh, but our main place is Rishikesh, where we do all types of courses with the team. So they can either directly come to the place, land of yoga, which is Rishikesh. This is one way. But of course, not everyone can, go directly just by thinking into plan and everything. So we have created an online platform. So there are Yoga Vidya school website and social links like Instagram, and of course through YouTube channel which we have created, Prashant J Yoga. This YouTube channel also they can connect there. So these are the three platforms that people can connect, and the team always respond if someone has certain inquiries, because they have given the links, they have given the contact details that how they can connect with the team, Yoga Vidya school team. So this is the platform that people can come. Otherwise, you're welcome to come to Rishikesh anytime. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. I will link to everything in the show notes. And I hope you come back to the Let's Talk Yoga podcast sometime. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care. Thank you so much for inviting me, and beautiful session. You have created good questions you have asked. I hope it will help many practitioners to understand a little bit, and they will continue.
I'll say this before we wind down. One of the intentions behind creating the podcast was to highlight teachers like yourself, and to create a place where students can come, find these what I think are authentic sources, and then continue and go study with different teachers. So thank you.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you so much. Namaste.
As always, I hope you enjoyed today's show. I'll be back here with another episode next week, but make sure you are subscribed to our newsletter. I'll link that for you in the description below for the video, as well as in the show notes on letstalk.yoga. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.